Hello guys, my name is IDQ and welcome to our video. In this video we will go over tips and tricks to become a better mid laner.
If you like this type of content, go to gamersclass.com. For just $9.99 a month, watch masterclasses with pro players, join exclusive live sessions, and get 24/7 access to coaches and other high MMR players. Get full control of your ranked games and start owning with our Supreme Dota 2 membership.
Tip number 1. Use spells to not miss the rage creep. If you can get a faster power spike than an enemy, such as level 6, you might be able to kill them or gank other lanes, thus applying more pressure than your respective mid laner. This doesn't seem that important at first, but every little thing adds up and you will end up having a lot more impact than your opponent. Tip number 2. Check for enemy wards by using the tree line. Since the 7.28 patch, the game starts at nighttime, so the towers have reduced vision, and this allows us to do this trick. This is quite an easy trick to pull off. All you have to do is hide in the enemy's mid lane trees, and if the tower attacks you, that means that the opponent has a ward there. We can also do this with summons if your hero has any. If you spend all your starting gold, you can get gold for a sentry from the bounty rune and the ward, this giving us a laning stage advantage while also receiving a small boost of gold and experience. There is no need to worry about any damage taken from the tower hits if they have a ward. You will most likely be full HP when the creeps meet. To counter this trick, we should be placing the ward as late as possible because the enemy might have checked for them already and could think that we haven't placed the ward in the mid lane. We also have to be careful not to be spotted by the enemy ward, so we advise using the fog provided by the tree line to our advantage while placing wards. In this clip you see me make the mistake of placing the wards pretty early, so the opponents are able to scout it and destroy it very fast. However, I was able to destroy their wards also. Tip number 3. Abusing regen or trading. If your hero is stronger than opponents, you should always try to look to trade with them, since you will come out on top. This has two possible outcomes. First, the opponent dies or is forced to go to base, missing a lot of gold and experience in the process, and second, you force them to use more resources to survive the laning stage, such as buying more salves, tangos, and raindrops in an already losing lane. By doing this, your discrepancy in gold increases and they will have a harder time making a comeback. Tip number 4. Use units to gain an advantage. Try to use any units available to you to get an advantage, no matter how insignificant it might seem at first. They can be summons from your hero, such as Lycan Wolves, Invoker's Force Spirit, and even Illusion Runes. They can be used in multiple situations, such as stacking jungle camps for you to farm later, denying enemy bounty runes, scouting the enemy jungle in order to set up a gank, and even positioning them in a strategic place, such as the river, to prevent getting ganked by providing vision if wards are not available to you. In this video, I managed to deny a bounty rune, thus stopping the enemy team from getting 50 gold each, and also not allowing the bottle refill from the enemy mid lane. Tip number 5. Save skill points. Some heroes have two paths of skilling the spells, so it would be advised to save the skill points unless we feel absolutely necessary to use them. Some of the mid heroes have 2 or more builds, but usually they are between being passive, farming, and being aggressive, ganking or pushing towers. If you are not sure about which way to go, you can save the skill points and use them when you have decided. For example, Monkey King can go for an active build, maxing his boundless stat and Jingu mastery, but he can also farm using Tree Dance. If you are countered, you usually want to go for the farming route and aim for a later timing with items instead of trying to help your team, but in the process dying a lot. Tip number 6. If your hero can gank, apply pressure by pushing the tower. If your hero isn't best suited for ganking, you should still try to apply pressure on the map by pushing the enemy tower. This has two outcomes. Either you take the tower and thus gain map control and more possibilities to invade the enemy jungle, or the enemy is forced to respond to your pressure. By doing this, at least one enemy hero is going to rotate to the mid lane, either by TPing or walking there. This hero is neutralized since they can be present somewhere else killing your team or farming. Because of this, your options suddenly widen, being able to force engagement with a numbers advantage or farm safely, since we have the information of the enemy's positioning and won't be afraid of getting ganked. In this case, the enemy mid laner went for a gank but ended up dying in the process, so the enemy carry had to defend the tower. Tip number 7. Abusing glyph. Glyphing is very useful in some situations, this being available to us from minute 3. We can use this to make sure that the wave doesn't die while pushing. Usually this is done while having a catapult hit the enemy tower at minute 5, or even for securing runes. This aspect is not as known and it implies glyphing the wave under the enemy tower, so if they want to contest the rune, they will miss the last hits. This has no negative effects since we don't need to glyph to defend towers early on. Tip number 8. Increase efficiency by farming the wave and a jungle camp at the same time. If the opponent is leaving the lane for any reason, such as going back to base to regen, picking up runes or ganking, and the wave is getting pushed towards your tower, the trick is very useful if you have any AoE spell. By doing this, you farm a jungle camp and a creep wave at the same time with one ability, thus increasing your efficiency by a large margin. Tip number 9. Raindrops. After minute 3, Raindrops will be available in shop. When playing versus a high magic output opponent, it is advised to buy them to block some of their damage. The item has 6 charges of magic damage block, but also provides 0.8 mana regen per second. Because of this, what we can do is backpack the item at the last charge and equip it when we are jungling or the opponent mid lane isn't in the lane, so we still have the mana regen. Tip number 10. Control the wave's positioning. This is known as aggro in the wave, and it is done by issuing an attack command on an enemy hero if you are within 500 units of the creep wave. This has multiple uses, such as getting the enemy creep wave closer to your tower, thus being harder to gank and making it more difficult for the opponent mid laner to harass you. You might also get in the range of the tower, gaining a bit of extra armor and HP regen. One important factor is that while the wave is aggroed, they will be chasing you without hitting your creeps, so we can use this to try and push the lane or manipulate the wave's location. In this video, I changed the wave's positioning, such as they weren't in tower range anymore, thus making the creeps survive longer, because the tower wasn't hitting them, which resulted in my opponent overextending and getting killed. Tip number 11. Controlling runes. At the 4-minute mark, a power rune will spawn. To ensure that we get them, there are a few things that we can do to secure them, such as using our spells to push out the wave, so the opponent is forced to be under tower to not miss the last hits and experience while we pick up the rune. While doing this, we can also glyph our creep wave, so we make sure that the opponent can push the creeps out in time. It is also good to trade before the rune spawns, because the enemy mid laner will be afraid to contest the runes, since our team might rotate for a gank. Because of this, we also make sure not to miss any last hits while picking up the rune, since the creep wave will be in the enemy's tower. I have been IDQ, thank you for watching the video and have a nice day.